This is the Archboat Shop. My name's Rod, and this will be the final episode in building the little 6-foot Kiska kayak model. The 6-foot Kiska kayak model is ready for varnish. So I have got 4 coats of epoxy inside and out wherever I can reach. I have sanded everything smooth first with the power sander, being very careful not to remove too much epoxy. And then I just did some hand sanding. There's still a few little spots here and there, but it's pretty smooth, and varnish after a few coats will fill that. I can scuff sand and continue varnish. The project is small. I'm actually going to spray the varnish onto this kayak. Now I don't usually do a lot of spray painting or spray varnishing in the shop. One, just because of chemicals in the air contaminating everything around. But this one's small enough, I think it's going to be more beneficial to just spray. I can get 2 or 3 coats on each day, maybe scuff sand and add a couple more tomorrow. Now, I don't have a big spray station, a big compressor, but I do have the little, the Erlex spray station 5500, which I have used to spray projects that are just almost darn impossible to be brushing all the little corners and that. But it's not that powerful, and but it works, so we're going to give that a shot today. And I also have some seat frames from a canoe that I'm fixing up. So we're going to hang all these pieces up and give them a little spray. I did sort of vacuum it all off, then I took a wet rag and just tried to wipe off as much of the sort of residue of the sanding as possible. Now I'm just going to take my tack cloth here, and I'm going to try and get all the dust off as best as possible. What I have done is I've drilled a tiny little hole through the stem, which pretty much no one will really notice, and then put a little wire through it. So once that's out of there, we have a little bit of varnish will go on there and it'll fill that hole, no problem. So I'm going to be hanging it up from some cabling in the ceiling on some hooks. So now that it's up there, I can finish sort of tack clothing the bottom edge here. Just where it's been sitting on the bench, on the foam pads, kind of has some dust in there as well. So I can get inside the cockpit room there. The varnish I use mostly in the shop is Pettit Captain's 1015 varnish, high gloss. And in this case we're going to use the corresponding Pettit spray thinner. Diluted about 25%, and we'll spray. This particular can has been opened, so we're just going to make sure we strain out some. It's going to be more than enough for this little project. Now I'm not exactly going to get out and measure thing. I'm just going to kind of eyeball this about like so. Now the only thing with mixing up small batches of varnish at a time is, making sure that the pickup will actually get in there and grab what is needed. I ended up spraying 3 coats of varnish on the kayak, but really it just wasn't working for me. One, you could have seen with the sprayer itself with the compressed air was kind of just spinning the kayak around. It was very hard to get an even coat. I suppose I could have figured some way of affixing it to the ground or something, or the floor, or some other way, but at the end of the day it really isn't taking that much to put these final coats on with the brush, and I think I can get a slightly heavier coat and finish up with a couple of coats of brushing. I'm using the same varnish and a nice natural bristle. I'm not so sure. They call it a badger hair brush, but I'm not so sure that it's actually badger hair anymore. But it's the best brush for, you know, sort of applying varnish. Being that it is such a small project, I can get the varnish on pretty quickly, and then I can just come back and look for you know, what we call holidays or spots that were missed, and not dry brush it out, but, you know, continually brush it out if I see any sort of excess varnish running somewhere. So at the end of the day, I can almost just take a full stroke right through the whole kayak from bow to stern, kind of just sort of tipping off and smoothing out. The hard part, the tricky part, is obviously around the cockpit itself. It's a pretty small little area. My brush is a little bit big for that, but I think I can get it brush in there. With all the varnishing done on the kayak, all that's left to do now is to make the brackets to actually hang it on the wall, which will be in the next and final video in this series. Thank you very much for watching. Consider giving this video a thumbs up, maybe becoming a subscriber, or share the link with a friend of yours who might be interested in these videos.